us over, didn't you, Spider-Man? You made a fool of Eddie Brock whenever you could.
I'll get even with you if it's the last thing I do!
Rejected the symbiote. Only wanted to make you stronger. Now, you won. Now, you're getting paid. From now on, we're poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom.
Hey everyone, Kirk here, and welcome back to the Geek Effect. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends retro card Venom from 2021. Now, this is actually a figure that was released a part of Hasbro Pulse Con last year, and it was one that I think was my most anticipated figure of last year. I just love the style that they went with, choosing the cel-shaded look of the character from both the comics and the animated 90s series for Spider-Man. Was a great choice in my opinion, and plus it just is a great character to have. Venom is very iconic, and he fits in well with Spider-Man, so if you have the Spider-Man that's a part of this retro Spider-Man collection, this is definitely a must-have for me, and I think it's a must-have for a lot of other people within the community, especially those that love Spider-Man as a character. He's, one of your favorite heroes, or just, you love the character and you like collecting things from his universe and his world. This is definitely one that you want to have. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this guy unboxed, starting with the packaging. So when it comes to Hasbro Pulse Con exclusives, a lot of them come in a special box. This is the case when it came to the Doctor Doom figure. This is the case when it came to the Invisible Woman and Human Torch figures that are currently available on Hasbro Pulse. Definitely looking to get my hands on those. But I love that they go with these boxes to kind of conceal the actual card of the figure and just also add an extra bit of pizzazz to the figure. And this one definitely has it. I love the black box with the front cover having the face of Venom. It just looks nice, and although it may have a very simple look to it, it just looks beautiful, and it's definitely got a nice display factor to it as well. You can see his face looks just like it does in the show, in the comics, where you have the the teeth all nice and sharp, the slime hanging from his tongue, and just everything there just looks nice. As someone who likes to display their boxes and keep their boxes, this is a nice box to keep. I definitely don't have intentions to throw this one out. When you flip it around to the side, you will get the comic book logo for Venom on this side, and same thing on this side. Of course, that's upside down, but it's there, and it has a glossy finish to it as well, which is nice. When you flip it around to the back, you also get this grayed out image of Venom, which looks sick, and you can see all the muscles and the iconic spider logo on his chest and everything like that. Really love how that looks, and that's pretty much it for the rest of this box. I mean, that's all you can really talk about. You do have the basic information that no one really cares to read, which is just stating, the warnings and everything like that. But we're not here for that. We're here for the figure. So let's go ahead and get the box out of the box. All right, so here's the packaging out of the shipper box, and there isn't much to write home about when it comes to it, but it's great, as always, in my opinion, because it's Toy Biz style packaging, Spider-Man logo at the top, Marvel Comics 90s style logo in the left-hand corner, and of course you got the Spider-Man perched on top of the logo. You also have the artwork of the character on the side, which features Venom in color. It's the same image that's on the back of the shipper box, which is in gray, but this one being in color is nice because it brings out all those features of Venom and all of his dark and gritty looks, and it's great in my opinion. You also have the info card at the top, which just says Symbiote Menace, and then it also says it in other languages. Flipping it around to the back, you get some more artwork, which is basically just the logo, the same image but a bit larger. And then you also have the box, which shows you how to swap out the heads. One of them is a head with the tongue out, and then the one on the right has the tongue in his mouth, which looks great. I like that they gave us two different styles to it. The only thing I will say right off the bat about this character is that I wish it would have came with an alternate head for Eddie Brock. Like, being able to have a Venom that's unmasked and everything would have been fantastic, but they just went with two different heads. And I get it, two heads is kind of standard for this. I feel like if you were to add three, it would be more of a deluxe figure and would most likely be a bit more pricier than it was. Now, moving down, you also have some more info on the character, which just says, a shiny, slithering alien symbiote bonds with hapless reporter Eddie Brock and transforms him into Venom, one of Spider-Man's most dangerous foes. That pretty much just sums up the character, but with that being said, I think it's time to go ahead and get this guy out of the box and see him in all of his splendor and glory. Alright, so here's Venom out of the box, and let me just say, this is a great looking figure. This is probably going to be one of my favorite figures from 2021 and also just in this year that I've unboxed this year. Definitely going to be one of my favorites because I love the look of this figure. It carries that, muscular look of Venom very well. That height that Venom has that, kind of makes him taller than Spider-Man. It carries that well too. And with the retro look to it, the comic book style cell shading that you see from the comic books, that you see from the animated series, looks fantastic. The only complaint I have about this figure right off the bat that I'm noticing would be these two peg holes, one on the right shoulder, one on the left shoulder. Well, if you're flipping around for him, this is the left, that's the right. But anyhow, those two peg holes kind of stand out like a sore thumb for me, and it's not something that I would like to have here, but it's there because this is a reuse of a body mold from another figure, being Omega Red from the Wolverine 5-pack. That's an Amazon exclusive. And so since they reused that body mold, some of the the features from that body mold or that character do carry over into this one. I kind of wish that they would have, plugged it up with maybe tendrils or something like that. And, that could have been like tendrils for the symbiote kind of moving around on the character. That would have been a great concept to go with and would have made some nice accessories for this character. But instead, they left the holes there, and so that is a bit of a letdown, in my opinion. But, what are you going to do? You could try and customize it, or you could just leave it alone and call it a day. And in the end, regardless, it's still a great looking figure. Moving up close to the Venom figure is where you can see all of the details that this figure has to offer, and I think that Hasbro and the Marvel Legends team did a great job with this figure. Starting off with the head sculpt, you can see all of the characteristics of Venom that you're used to seeing, whether it be from the comics, from the movies, from the 90s animated series. Like, it really does carry itself into the design of the figure's head. And you can see, the tongue sticking out, the teeth showing, the lips kind of going a bit over the teeth and everything. Looks great, and that sculpt work turned out fantastic. I do think that the cell shading was a great option to go with, like I said, because it adds that extra bit of character to this figure rather than just saying, let's just make an all black Venom with the white spider logo and call it a day. Like, this just makes it, even better in my opinion, especially for those that love the comics and the 90s animated show. It's great for collectors like that. When you move down towards the chest area, that's where you will see the pink elephant in the room that, really stands out for Venom, which is his white spider logo. You have that detail there, and that turned out great, and it all carries on to the ab area, and it continues along to the back, and it looks like what you would see from the comics and from the 90s animated series, so they did a great job with that. You also have some more cell shading detail on the back area of the neck and also on his shoulder area as well, and it also continues on to the arms, both of them, and even the hands, which when you look at the arms, you can see a bunch of detail there with the muscles and even the veiny sort of look when it comes to his forearm details. Those look great. Like, it has that look like the symbiote is kind of moving along his forearm, and I do love that look. When you move down towards the hand, you do get some more sculpt work with the claw look to his hands. I love how that turned out, and they did a great job with that. Both of them look fantastic, and you do get alternative hands where they're fisted, which you guys will see that in a bit. Moving down towards the legs is where you get some more detail with the muscle area for the thighs, in the calf area, and of course more cell shading all around for this figure. And when it comes to the cell shading, one thing I will also say is that it doesn't feel overdone. Like, it feels like it's just the right amount. Like, they're not just putting it there just to put it there. Like, they're putting it in spots where it makes sense, and I do think that it turned out well. You even have some more on the back of the thigh area, none on the calf, but it turned out well, and also more cell shading on the foot area, so red on here and then blue on here. It's just a lot of detail for this guy, and it really does bring him to life. For accessories, the figure does have a decent amount of them. For starters, you have two fisted hands to go with the figure, so this will definitely help with adding some variation to how your figure is displayed or how your figure is posed. So you could, go with fisted and clawed hands, or you could go all clawed, which is what the figure already has, or all fisted. It does add some nice variation to it, and the sculpt work on it turned out well, in my opinion. I do like how that looks. You also have some more cell shading detail on there with the red and the blue, so that'll definitely fit in with the rest of the characters. Cell shading details on the body, the legs, and everything like that. Moving on over to the next accessory, which is actually the final accessory, you do get an alternative head sculpt, which has the tongue inside the mouth kind of licking the teeth, and everything else is pretty much the same when you look at it side by side with the other head sculpt that comes on the figure already. Same sort of cell shading on that side of the head, same on this side of the head. It's nothing too different except, like I said, the tongue being inside the mouth. Now, when it comes to any other accessories that I think should have been included, I definitely think that having an Eddie Brock head sculpt would have been great for this figure. You can, pop this off and put that on, and it would have looked fantastic. I do still think that the other head sculpt that you get with this figure with the tongue in the mouth does look great in my opinion. Like, it looks nice, it fits the character well, but having an Eddie Brock head would have been fantastic in my opinion. When it comes to the articulation of this figure, it's got quite a bit of it, and it's actually quite surprising because when you see this figure, you think of it as buff, you think of it as muscular, and you're like, it's probably going to be lacking in certain areas, right? Like, it's not going to be super posable like in comparison to the Spider-Man figure that's in this collection, but that's the total opposite. It's got quite a bit of articulation to it, and it does kind of, go toe-to-toe with the Spider-Man figure when it comes to its posing, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to the head area, you're not going to get the best posing or articulation there because the ball joint for the neck goes pretty far into the head, and so it will end up popping off if you try to angle it back like this. Like, it's going to end up popping off, unfortunately, but you can have it at this position or angle it in and also go from side to side as usual with that 360-degree rotation. But it makes up for that when it comes to any other area of this figure, especially with the arms. I found it to be the most posable there because of the butterfly joint, so you can have the arms go outward and inward, and he could do some pretty cool poses. Like, if you want to have him grasp his head or his face, you can kind of do that, or if you want to have him in a hunched over position like he's about to grab Spider-Man by the shoulders and fling him across the room, like, you could do that, or grab his face. You could do that potentially. Like, it's got a lot of posability there. And of course, you have some rotation in the arms and some bending in the elbows, some swivel in the wrist, and some angling right there too because of the joint area in the wrist. So it does have some posability there. As for the ab area, you do get a decent amount of ab crunch to get some nice hunched over positions, and you can also angle it back to kind of do that shouting pose that you kind of see with Venom every once in a while, where he's shouting at the sky and has the tongue and everything swaying from side to side. Like, you can achieve those poses, and I do like that. As for the waist area, you have some swivel there, and then you also have some more articulation in the leg, rotation in the thigh, some bending in the knee, and then also some rocking in the foot. You can also angle the foot inward and then back outward like that. So it's all here, and it will allow you to make some very nice looking poses for this character. So kudos to Hasbro and the Legends team on that. Overall, I really love how this figure turned out, and I think that Hasbro and the Marvel Legends team did a great job with this figure, especially for it being an exclusive figure. Like, they did a great job with it, and were able to accomplish a lot with the posable features of it, all that articulation, the paint job with the cell shading with that red and blue look was great. I think that definitely helps this figure stand out and adds more style to it, and just all the other features, like with the head sculpt, having that tongue sticking out, that sculpting is fantastic. All the vein details on the forearm, those look great, and have that sort of look like the symbiote is moving on the figure. So that's nice to have that there. And if it came to, anything that might kind of deter from you wanting this figure, I don't think any of that's there. I mean, you do have the peg holes that stand out at you, but that's not a big deal. You kind of forget about it once you are looking at all the other features. And although it could have been fixed by, covering it up, it's not a bad, thing to kind of have there. I think if they had added accessories like, tendrils of the symbiote kind of coming out of the soldiers, that would have been fantastic, and just add some more, playability or, features to this character and make it stand out even more. That would have been nice. Or they could have, added another head sculpt, and that kind of would have just made up for that being there. And if it were to be another head sculpt, like I said, Eddie Brock would have been a fantastic choice rather than, a third alternative head for Venom. Like, having the second head is nice and does add some variation to the character, but I think having Venom with the Eddie Brock head on top would have been fantastic. Or even if it was like a half and half, I don't know. It's, tons of options out there for how they could have portrayed Eddie Brock's head on this Venom body mold. But who knows? In the future, we might see another figure in this collection, which would be Eddie Brock, and that would be fantastic. I think we might, see other villains and stuff before we see an Eddie Brock figure, but who knows what the future holds. We'll have to wait and see. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe if you're new to the channel, because that is very much appreciated and encourages me to keep, making these videos and having fun and getting to talk with you guys in the comment section and everything is something that I look forward to. I do hope to see you all in the next video, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.